Good day, everyone. Welcome from South Africa. Good afternoon to everyone who's joining us from here, and good day to everyone who's joining us from the rest of the world. I'm Maren Jacob, a researcher at the Center for Sustainability Transitions, and we just want to welcome you to our weekly CST Webinar Series, where we host this every Thursday from 1 to 2. You can also find all of our previous talks on the CST website. But today we want to welcome specially Prof Dankevych, who's going to be speaking to us about the impact that the Russian invasion of Ukraine has had on global food security and food exports to the African region. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to Dzvinka Couture, who will be managing and hosting the session for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Maren. So on the 3rd of June, it will be 100 days since Russia has invaded Ukraine, and Center for Sustainability Transition and South African Institute of International Affairs are launching a series of webinars focusing on the implication of the invasion for the African continent. In those webinars, we will focus not on the reasons for the invasion, but on understanding the implications and what is happening on the ground. As we know, the situation is very dynamic and changing daily. So we hope that having a better understanding of what is happening on the ground will also help us to prepare and to understand better what could be the implications on different areas. So we start this series of webinars with the topic of food security. The two other webinars will focus on global order and financial markets, and that webinar will happen on the 7th of July from 2 to 3:30 p.m., where we have three incredible speakers: Priyal Singh from Institute of Security Studies, Professor Joanzi, who is an expert, Joanzi van Wyk from UNISA, an expert on nuclear and nuclear non-proliferation, as well as Vladislav Rashkovan from International Monetary Fund. So that webinar will be on Tuesday next week. And the third talk will focus on energy transitions and will take place on the 28th of June. For today's talk, we are focusing on food security, and there are clearly a number of factors that are affecting food security on the continent. Some of them are beyond direct human control, such as climate change, and that had massive impact on the global ability to produce food, as well as COVID-19 pandemic measures that have disrupted the supply chain. But also more recent events like floods in KwaZulu-Natal. So on top of all those challenges that are beyond direct human impact, we're also facing the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the restricted export of food produced from Ukrainian ports. David Beasley, the executive director of the United Nations World Food Programme, recently warned that when a country like Ukraine that grows enough food for 400 million people is out of market, it creates market volatility, which we are now seeing. So it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Vitalii Dankevych, Associate Professor in the Department of International Economic Relations of Zhytomyr National Agroecological University of Ukraine. He has PhD in the Economy of Agriculture, as well as degrees in accounting, auditing, and land management. We welcome Prof Dankevych to tell us more insight of what is happening with what is the situation in Ukraine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, dear colleagues, tell me please, everything good with my screen?
Yes.
Okay, if everything good, let's start. Dear colleagues, it's a good opportunity to me today organize this discussing, because when we speak about global food security, when we speak about nowadays, it's very important to discuss about Ukraine, to analyze situation which we have in Ukraine and analyze global food security, analyze our partnerships with different regions, because when we speak about Ukraine, we are a country which produce food, which gives this food to another regions, and now we have a war, and this war changed everything. So today we will speak about Ukraine. I tried to tell you more about Ukraine, about our agriculture, about our potential, about our cooperation with different countries, and about changing in all parts of our life, because now we have a war, and this war change all world, because we speak about global food security. So let's start our discussion. First of all, some information about me, some information about my activity. I'm a doctor of economy, I'm food security expert, I'm a World Bank consultant, I'm Dean of the Faculty of Law, Public Administration and National Security in Policia National University. I'm member of Global Learning in Agriculture community, head of the Center of Strategic Research and Extension. I am co-owner of a farm agriculture enterprise, so I have experience in this field. And I'm father of 2 children. I'm proud of Ukraine, and I want to finish this war. I want to live in a peace, and we need to speak about this situation. We need to analyze this situation and try to find way from this situation. So when we speak about Ukraine, and when we speak about African countries, we need to understand that African region is one of the main our trade partner. We need to analyze some data and try to find a way how to organize our future cooperation, because this cooperation is very important. Ukraine is a country which produces a lot of food. And when we speak about African region, all these countries in African region, they need a lot of food, because we know about climate condition and other condition. So all countries have their speciality. When we speak about main trends which we have, so delivers to the African region in 2021 increased from 2.9 billion in 2020 to 3.7 billion in 2021. So we organize our partnerships, and we have very good cooperation. A lot of our farmers, a lot of our big companies try to find their partners in this region. When we speak about our cooperation, we need to speak about some data. So 90% of Ukrainian agrarian export moved to African region. It's very important. It's very important for Ukraine, because we produce food and we export this food to another countries. And when we speak about the main buyer of our products, we need to speak about Egypt. It's country which every year buy a lot food from Ukraine. We speak about wheat, we speak about maize, we speak about barley and another crops. Another statistic information when we speak about cooperation. So we live in a global world, and from year to year we try to find new partners. And now our company, our agrarian company, tried to find new markets. They tried to find new markets in Angola, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Morocco, Egypt, and other countries. And it's very good for our economy. It's very good for our cooperation, because we live in a global market. Some countries have some speciality. Speaking about Ukraine, we are agrarian country, and we produce a lot of food, and we export this food. And when we speak about some tendency, we speak that the development of African direction becomes special important after the reduction of export to Russia, when we speak about period which we analyze today. So today I try to tell you more about Ukraine, about our situation, and about this problem which we have now, about war, because it's not only problem for Ukraine, it's problem for all reasons for all regions and for all countries in the world. So I will give you some information about Ukraine because a lot of people, they know about Ukraine only some information. And now when we have such situation, it's very important to organize such webinars. It's very important to speak with people from Ukraine, to speak with people who know about situation in Ukraine, about agriculture, about our relations. So I will give you some maybe new information about Ukraine, maybe not new, but very important information about Ukraine. Everything good with my presentation and my slides?
Yes.
Okay, so this is map. When we speak about Ukraine, you need to understand that Ukraine is the largest country in Eastern Europe with a population of 44 million people. So when we speak about Europe, Ukraine is a big country. When we speak about all world, not very big country in Europe region. Another, Ukraine is an industrial and agrarian country, one of the largest food producer. So not very big country in European region, but one of the biggest producer of food. It's very important information. Another information about our agrarian sector, because it's the main sector of our economy. So when we speak about agriculture sector of Ukraine, we need to analyze some data because we're economists, and if we want to tell about something, we need to use data and analyze this data. So first information, 19% of the population work in agrarian sector. So a lot of people in Ukraine work in agrarian sector. Another, 45% of export revenue comes from the agrarian sector. So we produce a lot of food, we export this food, and we have money from this process. We use this money for our economy. 16% of GDP formed in agrarian sector. It's very important. So look at this data. Remember, 45% of export revenue comes from agrarian sector. So agrarian sector, very important for our economy. And when we speak about main trend in our agrarian sector, so from year to year, gross output of agricultural products have increased. And when we speak about last 10 years, it increased by 30%. So we have opportunity to produce more and more food and export this food to another countries. In Ukraine, we have small farmers and a very big agrarian holding. And this holding accumulate very big land bank. We speak about, for example, 600,000 hectares. It's a very big company which organize their working and produce a lot of food. So the main information, Ukraine is the top 5 producer and exporters of agriculture products in the world, the biggest producer. Another information, and it's logical question. I told that not very big country in central part of Ukraine, one of the biggest food producer in the world. But question, why? Not very big country, but the biggest producer. We don't speak about Brazil, for example, Argentina, China, or another country which have a very huge territory. We speak about European country, not very big. But speaking about Ukraine, we have comparative advantages of our agrarian sector. And the main of these advantages, first, our natural and climate conditions. These climate conditions is very good for agrarian business. That is why we produce a lot of food. Another, available human resources. Speaking about people from Ukraine, we have very old traditions of farming. We know how organize this farming, and we have very good results of this farming. Another, available human resources. We have this resource. Geographical location. Speaking about Ukraine, we situated in central part of Europe. It's very good for logistic. We can produce food and export this food to different regions in the world. And the main our resource, it's land resource. I know you understand what means land, what means good land for agriculture, because in our modern condition, when we speak about climate change, when we speak about pollution, land resources, it's very important when we speak about food security. And when we speak about Ukraine, I want to tell you some data. Black soil, I don't know if you know what means black soil, but in Ukraine we tell to this black soil chernozem. It means soil which is very good for agriculture. And in Ukraine we accumulate 9% of the world black soil. It's a very good data. We use this black soil and we have very good results. And you can find these results because Ukraine major importers, major exporters of products. We can find almost all continent to which we organize our export. We export a lot of food to Europe, to Asia, and we export a lot of food to all African countries. Even in this map, even in this slide, you can find a lot of countries from African continent to which we organize our export. So main ideas from my first part of presentation: Ukraine, one of the biggest producer of food. We produce a lot of food. We have opportunity to organize our agrarian business, and we export all this food to another country. And when we speak about Ukraine, because I'm economist, I try to use some data. When we speak about Ukraine, we need to analyze data. So first, world oil export. We speak about sunflower oil. 50% belong to Ukraine. What it means? It means if you visit supermarket and you find one bottle of sunflower oil and you find second bottle, so this second bottle produced from sunflower oil from Ukraine. Ukraine is the biggest producer of sunflower oil in the world. Not very big country. In central part of Europe, the biggest producer of sunflower oil. The same situation with corn, the same situation with wheat. Let's analyze another slide. In the slide you can find map of all countries in the world. And in this map it's very difficult to find Ukraine, because Ukraine, not very big country in central part of Europe. So in this map, difficult find Ukraine. But if you look to this graphic, you can find Ukraine, because first position in sunflower seed in the world, sixth position in corn in the world, barley, sixth position, rapeseed, seventh position, wheat, soybean. So not very big country, the biggest producer of food. And now when we speak about food, it's very important. It's very important to produce food and export this food to another countries. And when we speak about our partnerships, for example, when we speak about corn, we produce a lot of it. For example, if we analyze 2021, we produce 24.7 million tons of corn, and we export it to China, to European Union, to Egypt, to Iran, Turkey, and another country. So it was first part of my presentation. I told you about Ukraine, and I tried to tell you information and data which gives you ideas that Ukraine, one of the biggest producer of food. We have opportunity, we use it, and we produce a lot of sunflower oil, a lot of wheat, a lot of barley. We organize our farming, we have old traditions, and we specialize in it. And I think it's good specialization when we speak about modern world. Another topic of my presentation: why food security now it's so important. It's so important now because we speak about global world, and in this global world, some countries have opportunity to produce food and export this food. And some countries don't have such opportunity, don't have good climate conditions. And we have a lot of regions in which a lot of people don't have opportunity even to buy some bread. And it's a very big problem when we speak about global world, when we speak about nowadays. So we have official statistic that 283 million people in 81 countries, they have a problem with food. They don't have opportunity, don't have enough money to buy food. And we speak about two main regions. We speak about Middle East and North Africa. And in this country, this problem is a very big problem. I think you understand about what I tell you, and I think your knowledge in this field is better than mine. But I try to tell you the role of Ukraine in solution of this problem. So if we analyze official data, we can find that now we have a list of country, and in this country we have a lot of people who don't have opportunity to buy food. It's a very dangerous, it's a very tragic information, but we have such information, we need to analyze it. And we have another information that Ukraine, it's a country which produces food and which exports food. In this slide, you can find information about wheat. So we produce wheat and export to these regions where people need our wheat. And they don't have opportunity to buy another food because now we live in a global world, and we know about logistic, we know about costs of logistic. So food from Ukraine, our wheat, is the best for this region because we speak about logistic, we speak about price of this logistic. But now we have a war. And this war in Ukraine, this war change all situation which we have. When we speak about situation 2 months ago, it was not very easily situation with food security. But now it's the top question, what will be in future? Because problem which we have now in Ukraine, which all countries in the world have, because it's not only conflict, military conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Now it's a humanitarian crisis. Now it's a very big problem for global food security. It's a very big problem for African countries. It's a very big problem for Ukraine, for another region, because this war destroyed all our ideas, all our plans, destroyed our fields, our tracks, and destroyed global food security, which we create for a lot of time. When we speak about nowadays, we need to speak about situation which we have on February 24, 2022. It's the first period of war. It's a period when Russia launched the war against Ukraine and bombs were dropped on Ukrainian citizens. I'm from Zhytomyr, it's a central part of Ukraine, and I can show you some pictures from my town. In this picture you can find a school. It's not military object or something else, it's a school. This picture is very important for me because in my second slide, I told you that the my result of my life, it's a result that I have two childs. I have a son, he is 8 years old, and you can find school in my town. It's a very big problem. I have a daughter, she's only 1 year old, and she was born in this hospital, in this Zhytomyr Regional Peritoneal Center. And now you can find in this picture situation which we have. So this war changed our life, this war changed all life which we have in Ukraine, and this war change situation which we have. You can find information from newspaper, you can find information from media about nowadays, about situation in Ukraine nowadays. So we don't have a situation which we have on March 28, because when we speak about March 28, situation was very dangerous because Russian Federation, they occupied a lot of territory. Even they tried to occupy capital of our country. They tried to occupy Kyiv. It was very dangerous for our. They occupied a lot cities, but now we fight, we try to attack them, and now we have fighting, very hard fighting in our territory. We take back a lot of territory, but now we have fighting in Luhansk, in Donetsk region, and in region not far from our Black Sea and Sea of Azov. It's very important. I will tell you why. When we speak about our agrarian sector, I told you that Ukraine is the biggest producer of food. But when we speak about this war destroyed a lot of our agrarian potential. And in this map, you can find territory where we had a war. It not means that we don't control now this territory. But Russian Federation, they destroyed a lot of infrastructure in Ukraine. They destroyed a lot of tracks. They destroyed our all facilities which we have. And now in a lot of our territory, it's difficult to start springfield working, which we now finish. And in a some of territory, it's very dangerous because Russian Federation, they mined all this field, and now for Ukraine, it's very difficult to use all our lands for agriculture. When we speak about situation in our fields, this situation is not very easily. In this picture, you can find information about realities of agriculture in Ukraine 2022. A lot of agricultural machinery is destroyed by mines. It's very dangerous, but we have such situation. In these fields, we produce wheat. In these fields, we produce maize, barley, and we export all this food to all countries in the world. And now a lot of these fields we don't control. It's a very big problem, not only for Ukraine. Another picture, it's our land. I told you that in Ukraine we have the best land in the world when we speak about this land which we use for agriculture. And now you can find a lot of picture like this. It's a current state of agricultural land when we speak about Ukraine, when we speak about 2022. When we speak about tendency which we have now in Ukraine, so Russians' actions in Ukraine agriculture sector during the war, they tried to destroy our infrastructure. They tried to destroy our elevators. They tried to destroy our livestock farms. They tried to destroy our poultry farms. They tried to take our agricultural machinery, and it's a very big problem because now for Ukraine, it's very difficult to organize agrarian business to produce food and to export this food to another countries. When we speak about tendencies, the Russian occupies completely destroyed Ukrainian only National Center for Plant Genetic Research in Kharkiv. It's a place where more than 160,000 different hybrids of plant from all over the world were. So it's a very big problem. And now we need to find solutions from this problem. Not only we, but all countries. When we speak about Ukraine, we speak about our sowing company. We finish it. And I think today a lot of people who know about agriculture, who know about farming, so sowing company, it's the main important period for agrarian business. And speaking about this period, we had a lot of problems with human resources, a lot of problems with fuel supply, a lot of problems with logistic and port control, a lot of problems with mineral fertilizers and plant protection, a lot of problems with territory which we don't control. We try to find solution from this problem, and now we finish our thawing campaign. But we had a lot of problems, and we need to find solution from all these problems. Speaking about today's global food security, the main problem for all countries in the world, it's a problem for Ukraine, it's a problem for African countries, it's a problem for all people who want to buy food from Ukraine. We speak about Black Sea and Azov Sea. I think you know the situation which we have now in this region. Russian Federation, they destroyed a lot of our communication, they destroyed a lot of our ports, and now they blockade Sea of Azov and Black Sea. And when we speak about logistic, Ukraine produce a lot of food, and we organize export of this food using Black Sea. Because when we speak about logistic, using sea, it's the cheapest way how to country can organize their export. So we use our sea, we use our port in Odessa, Mykolaiv, Kherson, Yuzhny, and we organize our export. We organize our export to Egypt, for example, and we have partnerships with another company from another countries. So for a lot of time, for a long of period, this logistic work and this price for this logistic was very good for a lot of companies. But now when we speak about nowadays, Russia Federation blockades this region. It's very big problem, and they create very big humanitarian crisis. And now Russian Federation tries to organize not only military conflict, they try to organize food conflict. Because speaking about military conflict, they lost. They couldn't win any battle. They lost a lot of their soldiers. So now they have another ideas, and these ideas is not very good for all over the world. They have ideas to create very big global catastrophe. So they blockade our Black Sea. It's not only our Black Sea, it's Black Sea region, equatory of Black Sea, and they create this collapse which we have in the world with food. Because now we have situation that in Ukraine we have a lot of food, and now we have another problem, what to do with all our wheat, with all our barley, maize, oat, and another crops and another food which we produce in Ukraine. We have another way to organize our logistic to Europe, and then using their ports organize logistic to another region. But we speak about price. I think you understand that if we speak about logistic and if we speak about road logistic or another, it's too expensive. And for some people, it's impossible to buy wheat, for example, which moves not from Ukraine, but from Brazil or another region. And now when we speak about wheat, for example, it's very difficult to find another producer because we speak about territory, we speak about land, we speak about climate condition, and very difficult to find region who can produce a lot of wheat, export this wheat, and organize this agrarian business. So we have this situation, we need to analyze this situation, and we need to analyze our share and share of Russian Federation in this global market, because we need to understand that even now, even in a period of war, we have competition in world market because we live in a world economy. And when we speak about share in global market, we need to understand that Ukraine and Russian Federation, the biggest producer for barley, for maize, for sunflower oil, for wheat. When we speak about Ukraine, I told you that we have a lot of problems with our fields, a lot of problems with our infrastructure. But the main problem when we speak about nowadays, and when we speak about Ukraine, and when we speak about global food security, the main problem it's blockade of our Black Sea, because it's the main way for organize our logistic. When we speak about Russian Federation, because a lot of people told that if in Ukraine they have such situation, Russian Federation can organize their export, and it will be good for all countries, because some countries which before buy foods in Ukraine, now they can buy it in Russian Federation. But situation is not so easily. When we speak about Russian Federation, you know about sanction, you know about situation with the main producer of seeds, the main producers of chemicals, the main producers of agricultural techniques, which moves from Russian market. And it means that even now Russian Federation, even for this country, which control their ports, which have opportunity to organize export, they have a lot of problem. And it not means that if we speak about wheat market, that they can export a lot of wheat from their country. So it's a very big global problem. It's a very big problem not only for Ukraine, but for all countries. And we can, when we speak about, for example, when we speak about Egypt, because in my first or second slide, I told that Egypt is one of the main our trade partner. It's a country which buy a lot of wheat from Ukraine. So we can find even this graph that Ukraine and Russian Federation is the biggest producer of wheat and exporters. And we can find the same graphic for another country from African region. So only 2 or 3 countries which produce wheat, which produce corn, which produce sunflower and export to countries of African region. And now we have a war. And now it's a very big question for Ukraine what to do with all our crops, and for all people in African region where to find wheat, where to find maize, where to find sunflower, because the main producer of these crops, Russian Federation and Ukraine. And as a result of all this situation, we have different change in price. And now it's not only change in Ukraine and in Russian, because I organize a lot of forums, I communicate with people from United States, with people from Great Britain, from European Union, from India, from China and other regions. And when we speak about price situation in Ukraine, war which we have, this situation change price all over the world. And when we speak about global food security, you can find information about price for soybean, for wheat, for corn, the main products. And we have very high level of this price. And it's a very big problem, because when we speak about people in Europe, for example, for them it will be problem. It will be problem because they need more money for their budget for buy food. But when we speak about people in Africa, when we speak about people in Asia, for them it will be very big problem, because even now a lot of people don't have money to buy bread. And when we speak about this price for wheat, soybean and corn, it will be impossible to buy bread produced from wheat from this price. So it's very big problem. If we analyze global wheat price, and if we analyze situation which we have now, so now this price on the top, you can remember 2008, it's a period of global economic crisis. So in this period, price was too high, but now I think it will be more and more big, not only economy, but world economy and humanitarian crisis. And now it's very important to organize such events. It's very important to find way from this problem, because when we speak about Ukraine, it's not only problem of Ukraine when we speak about this war. When we speak about this war, and if make some conclusions of my topic, when what ideas I try to tell to another people with whom I try to organize such webinars, the main idea in these two sentences. First sentence: Ukraine is among the top 5 world food exporters. So in less than a month, the whole world will feel the effect of the war in Ukraine. And now we have this situation. You can ask all people in the world about this effect. And every day we visit supermarket, every day a lot of people use their car, and we can find effect from this war. We can find effect in food security, in energy security, and in another aspect of our life. And another very important situation. About 400 million people, look at this data, 400 million people depend on grain supply from Ukraine. So Ukraine is a country which produces food. Ukraine is a country which organizes agrarian business. Ukraine is a country which exports this food to another region. But now we have a war and everything stopped. And it's a very big problem. So I will finish my presentation. I will finish my speech. And when we speak about future, and it's not a future for year or for some period, we speak about maybe months, maybe 2 months, because this problem which we have now, it's a very big problem. So when we speak about future, let's analyze the last topic. And the last topic, it's about our seaports. So when we speak about seaports, it's only way restoring Ukraine's seaports is only way to reduce food price and to avoid a humanitarian catastrophe. Famine in Middle East and North Africa, which are the main importers of food from Ukraine. So when we speak about global food security, when we speak about nowadays, we need to speak about Ukraine. We need to speak about situation which we have in Ukraine. And it's very important to find way from this situation, because it's a very big problem for all countries in the world. It's a very big problem for Ukraine. It's a very big problem for all countries in Africa, because Ukraine is the main producer of food. And when we speak about countries of African region, these countries every year, not every year, every month buy a lot of food in Ukraine. And we use our Black Sea. We use these ports in these slides, and we organize our export. And now all this stops. We don't control Black Sea. It's a very big problem. It's a very big problem for all countries in the world. That is why I thank you for opportunity to give you this information. And it's very important not only to listen this information. Now it's very important to discuss, to organize some discussion, and to find some solution for this global problem which we have now. Thank you for attention.
Dr. Dankevych, thanks a lot for sharing with us insight on different aspects of disruption to the agricultural processes in Ukraine. I open floor for the discussion, and while we are waiting for some questions, maybe one question from me. In the news, we hear a lot about the potential mission under UN coordination to organize the export from Ukrainian ports, how realistic it is and what are the challenges to this mission, and also maybe you have any insight onto how the insurance of shipping has changed due to the war.
Thank you. Thank you for this question. Speaking about our logistic, we need to analyze some data. When we use our ports, we export more than 90% of our agrarian export. So using ports, more than 90% of agrarian export. And when we use our railway, we export only 10%. When we speak about situation which we have now, we control, I think, all our ports. We don't control port in Azov. We don't control our port in Kherson. We control our port in Odessa. We control our port Yuzhny. We control our port in Mykolaiv. But the main problem, we don't control Black Sea. It's the main problem. It means that no, we don't have opportunity to export using our Black Sea, and Black Sea is the main region which we use for all organizing all export from Ukraine. So we don't have any opportunity only using our Black Sea. And now we discuss about two ways how to find solution from this problem. One way, it's military. We need enough weapon to destroy all Russian ships in this region. Only then we can organize our export using Black Sea. Another opportunity, and a lot of people from Great Britain, a lot of people from Turkey and European region, they speak about this way. We need to organize military convoy. We need to organize military convoy, and this convoy will save our ships with wheat, our ships with maize and with another crops, and they can move from Ukraine to Egypt, for example, and organize export. Because when we speak about period before war, every month we export more than 5 million tons of wheat, for example, every month. And a lot of this wheat move from Ukraine to Egypt. And now we don't control Black Sea. Now it's a problem. Now it's impossible to organize this export. And when I tell you about 10% which we export using railway, it's impossible to organize all of our agrarian export only in railway station. So only Black Sea, but now a lot of countries tried to help Ukraine to find solution from this problem.
Thanks a lot. Robin Foley is asking a question about potential prices, how high they can go. Do you have any calculations on the potential price change? Maybe if that wheat and corn is exported through other ports in Europe?
Speaking about situation with price, it's a very good question. And when we speak about this situation, we need to understand that now we live in a world where price will rise every month, every year. We don't now live in a period with very cheap food because we have climate change, because we have a lot of globalization tendency, and now we live in this process. And now when we speak about some prognosis, it's very difficult to create this prognosis because it's very difficult to calculate all this logistic way. But we have some calculation that price can rise, and this rise can be from 8 to 20%, from 8 to 20%. And it means that price of bread, for example, change. And even now we can find this change in a lot of countries in the world.
Thanks a lot. We have two more questions. One from Lamiz Omari from News24, who's asking about specific insight to South Africa, Ukraine agricultural exports. Do you have exact numbers and can we expect more competition among countries in order to secure food supplies? Possible hoarding of food like we saw with vaccines? I can imagine there are already some countries that restricting the export from their territories. The process is happening. Maybe you can also comment more specifically on South Africa. And there is another question, whether the military convoy can lead to the further confrontation with Russia.
Thank you for this question. Speaking about first question and speaking about situation which we have, we need to understand that now it's very difficult or even sometimes impossible to find another exporters of food, because when we speak about export, we need, and when we speak about price, we need to analyze logistic costs. And when we speak about our Black Sea, I tell you that it's the cheapest way how we organize our export. And this price was good for Ukraine and, for example, for Egypt company, which buy a lot of food in Ukraine. And now, if even we organize this export using European region, using ports in Europe, it will be too expensive. And this price will be too high. That is why it's a very big problem. Another problem that even now a lot of countries that they close their market. We speak about India, for example, the biggest producer of wheat. They close their market, and we need to understand about price. We need to understand that this price will be higher and higher. So it's a very big problem. When we speak about period, some people told that when we speak about wheat market, if we have such situation in Ukraine and Russia, another country tried to use more land and organize their agrarian business. But you need to understand that wheat from Brasilia or Argentina, for example, we need to speak about ocean. We need to speak about logistic, and this logistic will be too expensive. Now, when we speak about Ukraine, we try to find some way how we can organize our logistic, how we can export food to African region too, because we have a lot of contracts and we need to organize this export, but we don't have possibility. We don't have this possibility. And when we speak about alternative ways, it's very difficult to organize them, because when we speak about Ukraine and Europe, we have different railway station, and we need some period to organize this logistic system. Another question, when we speak about military convoy, we need to understand that it's not only Ukrainian problem, which we have now. And even now, a lot of countries in the world, they understand that result of this problem will be for all over the world, because we will have a lot of people with lack of food. It's a very big humanitarian crisis, and we don't know effect of this crisis. It's even difficult to modulate this effect to all countries in the world. That is why even now, a lot of people from government, from Great Britain, from Turkey, they analyze situation and they analyze some ways from this situation. And now they try to find solution. And one of these solution using military ships from Turkey, from Great Britain, and organize this convoy. It's only way, because it's impossible to find something else, because we speak about life, we speak about a lot of people in different regions in the world. So it's not only problem of Ukraine. That is why we need agreement between a lot of countries in this region and in another region. And if we will have this agreement, we can organize this convoy.
Thanks. And the insight on South Africa, I know that about 45% of wheat is coming to South Africa from Russia and Ukraine. Is it correct? Do you have any more detailed, maybe, information? And also take some more questions. We have a question from Tamsin from City of Cape Town. Is it true that the grain is being taken to Russia, and also whether this military convoy that we were talking about can be organized by UN, by International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights?
Answer for first question, I show you a lot of pictures from Ukraine, and even in this picture I try to tell that we have a lot of cases where Russian Federation, they take our territory, and then from all these territories they try to take all grain, all machinery, all equipments, and they move all of these crops to Crimea Republic, for example, and then from Crimea Republic they organize export to another countries. And even now we have a lot of cases where our government, our people from government try to use their partners and try to use some foreign agreements how to control this problem, this process. So we have such cases, and it's a very big problem. When we speak about organization which will take part in this convoy, I think you are right. This organization can take part in this convoy, or in this organization we can discuss this possibility, because it's not only problem of Ukraine, it's problem of a lot of countries. And now a lot of countries try to organize agreement and try to organize mechanism of this convoy.
Thanks. And what we see in South Africa already, the rise of prices for cooking oil, and also the rise of fuel prices. We didn't touch the rise of fuel prices, but what is the situation in Ukraine, and how that's going to affect the production and the potential ability to plant?
Thank you for question. Speaking about this problem, I speak with a lot of people from United States. Yesterday I speak from Great Britain. Today we speak with you, and we have the same situation all over the world. When we speak about fuel, when we speak about petrol, I think we have rise. And speaking about Ukraine, before the war, we have situation, I think $1 for liter. And when we speak about nowadays, we need to pay $2 for 1 liter. And it's impossible in some part of our city even to find this petrol. So it's a very big problem. And when we speak about food, when we speak about petrol, we need to speak about all elements of prices for all foods and all things which we produce, because food, because petrol, it's the main resource which we use every day. So now we live in a period when price for everything will rise. It's not very good for a lot of people in country which don't have enough money.
Can you maybe share some numbers? What is specifically the price that is currently for petrol? How much has it increased in Ukraine?
In Ukraine, in double. In Ukraine, price increase in double, but we have a problem. We have, even in this price, we have a lack of fuel, we have a lack of petrol. Because speaking about Ukraine, Russian Federation destroyed a lot of our infrastructure, a lot of our facilities for saving our petrol. And now it's a very big problem to organize logistics from European Union, for example. Because speaking about Ukraine, we buy a lot of petrol and we buy a lot of diesel from Russian Federation and from Belarus. Now, when we speak about period of war, we tried to find partner in European region, but it's very difficult to organize logistic, because we need to use some tracks, and using these tracks, we need to move petrol from Europe to Ukraine. it's a price, and now we have a problem with it. And speaking about me, not every day, every week I try to find petrol for my car, and it's a problem, even with money.
Thanks, Vitaly. We have a question from Nadia. What can we as both ordinary citizens and researchers from South Africa do to help address the multiple and intersecting crises you have mentioned?
Speaking about this situation and speaking about people from science, when we speak about researchers, the main idea to speak about Ukraine, the main idea to speak about problem, and the main idea that this conflict, this war, it's not only war between Russia and Ukraine, it's war between Russia and all countries in the world, because Ukraine is the biggest producer of food. We country which gives food for all countries in the world, and now in this war it's a very big problem. It can be very big humanitarian crisis for all countries in the world. That is why it's very important to speak about Ukraine, to discuss this situation and try to show this situation to all people in the world and tell that we need to find a way from this problem, because it's not only problem in Europe, it's not only problem in Asia or in another region, it's global problem. And now I try to explain why it's global problem.
Thanks. Bureau for Food and Agricultural Policy in South Africa has already made some estimates on the how this crisis is going to affect South Africa, and we are waiting report at the end of June. So we hope to read also the perception from South Africa. And we have one more question from Robin asking about potential unrests that could be linked to the food challenges on the continent.
When we speak about this situation and when we speak about future, it's very difficult to prognose something. It's very difficult to prognose about some period, because speaking about Ukraine, now we have a lot of harvest from last year, and we don't know what to do with all this harvest. And when we speak about period next 3 months, we will have another harvest. And we will live in situation when in Ukraine we will have a lot of food, but we don't know what to do with all this food, and we don't have enough facilities for save this food. And we will speak about African region, we will speak about Asia and another regions and countries, and in these countries will be lack of food. So it will be a very big disbalance in the world. And when we speak about food, when we speak about wheat, maize, sunflower, it will be difficult to find balance, and it will be difficult to find way from this problem. Only one, only Black Sea, only some peace or peace for some period in Ukraine.
Thanks. And we have once again a question about the potential escalation of the situation between Russia and Ukraine if countries assist Ukraine to export the grain. I think definitely opening the port has been a big part of the discussion between Russia and Ukraine. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia has made a statement that they would be open to potentially allow export of Ukrainian grain if the sanctions will be released. What is your understanding of this situation? Do you think there is a possibility for escalating this conflict as a result of organizing such maybe UN-led military convoy to export grain?
Speaking about this situation, the main idea, speaking about Russian Federation, they don't have a good result in their military way. They don't have opportunity to attack our positions, and they don't have opportunity to take our territory. And I think when we speak about nowadays, they understand this position, they lost this war. but now they need to find some way, because they need to explain for all their people why they start this war and what result they have. So they change their strategy, and now in military way they don't have good result. We fight, we have a lot of wins when we speak about Ukrainian soldiers. So Russian Federation tried to organize very big food crisis in the world, and they tried to use this big crisis, and they try to tell for all countries in the world that they can unblock our Black Sea, but they tell about their sanction. They tell that if you stop mechanism of sanction, we will unblock Black Sea. And now it's a discussion. It's a very big discussion, but it's a not good way for Ukraine, because now Russian Federation control a lot of our territory. They killed a lot of our people. They destroyed a lot of our economy. So for Ukraine, it's not good way when we speak about sanction, when we speak about unblock of our Black Sea. So we need to find another way when we speak about situation which we have now on the front. So Ukraine, we have a lot of weapon from our European colleagues, weapon from United States. And now I think we need maybe 1 month, maybe 2 months or 3 months, and we can organize some attack in eastern part of our territory, and we can move back some of our territories, and only then we can speak about some agreement, only in this period when we move our territory. Another way, it's not very good way for Ukraine.
Thanks, and Tamsin from City of Cape Town is asking about the role of international organizations such as FAO or World Food Program. We know that around 50% of wheat that is provided by WFP is coming from Ukraine. Are they currently playing a big role in managing this situation?
Speaking about this situation and global organization, so this war show who is who really in world, and this situation show that speaking about Ukraine, we have a lot of friends in the world. We found a lot of friends in Europe, in Great Britain, in United States, and all these countries show what they can do for Ukraine. Speaking about World Organization, this war shows that we need change a lot in global organization, because a lot of organization, they don't effective when we speak about global problem which we have nowadays. And when we speak about Global Food Organization, for a lot of period, they don't find that this problem is very big, and only at some last period they try to speak more about this situation, they try to do something, but now it's very difficult to find result of their work.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for this presentation and for all the insight. Thanks to everyone who attended today. I will remind that this is a series of webinars. The next one will be about global security, about UN system, non-proliferation, and financial markets. On Tuesday, 7th of June, from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And after that, we'll have a webinar on energy security presented by Professor Mark Swilling from Center for Sustainability Transitions, and Olena Pavlenko. Dr. Pavlenko is from initiative that are monitoring the energy sector in Ukraine. Once again, thanks everyone for your questions and for joining today.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.